Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. This is an interview about a dozen people have asked for, and we got it done. Mr. Brian Lebo from Vegas is back on the channel. How you doing, sir?
What's up, man? Glad to be here.
I got to tell you, there's a lot of people on my channel that just love to hear from you. Love hearing all the raw numbers. Love hearing about Vegas. So thank you for coming back.
No, my pleasure. And thank you, because so many of my people have come because of you.
Oh, awesome.
Because they learn about real estate and then they want to compare with my perspective. So I really appreciate you and what you've brought to my life. So
that's awesome. I appreciate it.
We get the love fest out of the way.
There you go. Now we're done.
Right.
So we are going to do 3 episodes with Mr. Brian Lebo. And the first one, Brian, we got to do a look back to Vegas 2021. You know, everybody out there is calling for a real estate crash. Vegas is going to suck. It's horrible. Conventions are gone. Eviction moratoriums. Nobody's paying rent. Vegas crashed, right?
Yeah, it was so bad. We saw a 25% increase in home values. That's how bad the crash was. We should be so unfortunate every year. No, yeah, we definitely did not see a crash, you know?
Yeah. And in fairness, there were a lot of headwinds, right? I mean, Vegas, it was a rough year for Vegas, the economy, right? Conventions were just kind of leaning back, on again, off again, hotels. It wasn't all rainbows and unicorns last year.
It was a very complicated year.
That's a good
mired. Yeah, I mean, there's we love to think in terms of black and white, right?
Sure.
That gives us a feeling of solace.
Yes.
To have absolute. But the reality is most of this world is gray, and nuance is your best friend. So the reality is if you look at specific metrics, this was a disastrous year.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the overall economy, if you look at the health, if you look at goods and services, I mean, some numbers say unemployment was the highest in the nation. Meanwhile, no one can hire anyone. No one wants to work.
That's so weird.
There's a dichotomy that exists there where it's like, okay, these numbers. If you watch my channel, one of the biggest things that I try to emphasize with people is that numbers tend to be meaningless without context, right?
Correct.
I spout a number, but what does that number mean? You have to add context to explain to people why this number is meaningful or meaningless, and that requires context. So just because you see that an unemployment number is X doesn't actually depict the entire story. And Vegas is booming by all accounts, really truly by all metrics. Right now we've got some issues because of the Omicron virus.
Sure.
But right now we're focusing on last year. And last year was a bizarre year, to say the very least. So
25% appreciation kind of January 1st to December 31st. Was it just a straight line? Did you see, was it front loaded? Do you have those numbers? Do you have a feel?
So let me kind of explain what happened in Vegas, because what happened, I think, is going to be foreshadowing as to what will happen, which we'll get into in the second segment.
Correct.
So it's no surprise that, late spring and early summer tends to be the peak of the market, right? I mean, I think that's pretty universal.
So is that like April to July, March?
Yeah, things really start picking up in March, but April through July.
Okay.
I can only speak about Las Vegas. Real estate is regional, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what they're doing in Illinois. I have no idea what they do in Cleveland.
Got it.
Now, in Las Vegas, we are a migration town. So historically, I mean, we migrated here 30 years ago from Southern California, and that pattern and trend continues to this very day. As long as we have California, we will continue to prosper, because the difference is that we've always had, let's just say, more blue collar people moving from California, and then retirees. It tended to be those two.
Correct.
If you don't have tremendous education, you can really get ahead in Las Vegas because there were so many jobs, so many casino jobs. We're talking historically speaking, very low cost of housing. Everything was very affordable, good quality.
Quality of life was so much easier. It was easier to be middle class in Vegas historically than, say, LA, Orange County.
100%.
It's just the numbers
100%.
don't work, right? It's just, it's true.
And over time, as a city, we realized that we needed to build the city and build culture in order to build a wealthier population that would demand these accoutrements, if you will. So what's really been the massive change in Las Vegas, I would say over the last 5 years, is the exodus from California no longer consists of middle-class people. We have started seeing a tremendous amount of wealth. I've got one right now in escrow for $5 million. And, my client's net worth is, 10 times that much amount. And they simply are just fed up of paying California taxes. And then at their level.
Yeah. The gift to Vegas, man, is California's stupidity, right? I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I mean, at a level of wealth for some individuals, you're giving up 13% of your income to live in California. And for many people, living in California is no longer the blessing that it once was. No. So
yeah, I mean, ultimately, crime and cleanliness and homelessness and the salt in tax that's now it could be a 5% haircut if you were using it. I mean, Gavin Newsom is making it really hard to, like, if you're a white collar and you can work from home and you proved you can work from home for 2 years, why the hell isn't your mailing address Vegas
100%
instead of Orange County?
And that's literally client after client after client. Virtually all of my high-end clients that have moved cite politics and taxes,
of course,
which kind of go hand in hand.
What in high-end, just so people know, Vegas, is that like 2 million above?
Yeah, I mean, it used to be 1 million was that mark. Okay. Luxury is still kind of vacillates around that million, but really 1.5 million is where you start to get into the luxury market. Ultra luxury, is about 3 million plus.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we are price wise.
Yeah.
So again,
1.5 in some of the SoCal cities is buying you a 1950s ranch.
Right.
With no updates. So again, lower taxes, different climate, more business friendly. If you're going to telecommute, the internet's not different in Vegas than it is in LA. It's just not.
Yeah, the quality of life, especially, I have to say, 10, 15 years ago, if you had millions and millions of dollars and you were used to seeing Broadway plays and fine dining, you were pretty much relegated to just living on the Strip, which people don't really do when they live here.
Right.
Over the years, we have the Smith Center, so Broadway level production plays are here. Obviously, we always had world-class entertainment performance on the Strip. Now we have sports teams, the Raiders, the Vegas Golden Knights, maybe Oakland A's. Right. So we've actually started developing a tremendous culture, and now locations off the Strip, you have world-class chefs that are putting restaurants off the Strip for locals, because we have a level of wealth that can support this. So for these wealthy individuals, the opportunity cost of moving to Vegas isn't that difficult as it once was. Now you look at it and you go, oh my God, there's no traffic. Quality of life's easy.
You get anywhere in 30 minutes, not 2 hours. It's just,
exactly. And the more people that move here, the more other people are like, you know what? My friend moved here. They actually love Vegas. They don't miss California at all. They say they're never coming back. So the more people that come that are wealthy, they're attracting more wealthy people, because it's like the canary in the coal mine, right? One wealthy person moves out there and people think that they're crazy. And then they come visit and they're like, no, we love it out here. And then all of a sudden everyone goes, you know what? I'd rather not pay 13% taxes. Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, I mean, just raw numbers, right? Let's say you made 300 grand a year because you're some CEO somewhere. That's $45,000 in state income tax, which, oh, by the way, probably pays your mortgage payment.
Right. And that's precisely it. I mean,
it's crazy.
It's definitely advantageous to have you guys in California as our neighbor. As long as we have you, we're okay.
You're doing okay.
We're okay.
So do me a favor. How do you want? Because people are watching this perhaps in Southern California, Bay Area, going, I'm done. If they want to reach out to you and buy some real estate, how do you want them to do that?
Best way, you can call me, text me, 702-257-LEBO, L-E-B-O, 257-LEBO. You can go to lebogroup.com. You can go to my YouTube channel, the Lebo Group, any of those ways, brian@lebogroup.com.
There you go.
Pretty easy. Just Google Brian Lebo and
you're good. Brian with a Y.
Brian with a Y, Brian Lebo.
There you go.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
I was going to say, so if we go back to 2021 and kind of wrap it up, again, up 25%. What is inventory January to December? Did it stay flat? Did it fall apart? What's going on?
So let's kind of give the narrative of how 2021 developed and why. Okay. So going into 2021, we had diminished inventory. So probably for the last 3 months of 2020, the inventory dropped.
And the Strip is shut down. January, the Strip is still shut, right?
No, I think the strip was open.
It was open in January?
In 2020 was when we had quarantine. So it was March to June of 2020 that
I'm a year off.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was a year before where we had quarantine and we thought the world was going to crash, and then housing just went through the roof because everyone worked remotely.
Right.
So Towards the end of 2020, the inventory just kept dropping.
Okay.
So we ended up in the end of 2020 with about 3,500 homes on the market.
Okay.
Going into 2021, the inventory kept dropping all the way till March 17th.
Okay.
So from January 1st to March 17th, our inventory diminished. We got down to the lowest inventory that I've ever seen in my 20-year career. I think it was 1,872 homes.
Wow.
So when you consider
there's 2 million people in Vegas, right? Roughly.
Yeah. And when
1,800 homes. Wow.
Yeah. We sell between 3,000 to 4,000 homes a month in the greater Las Vegas area. So when you have an inventory that's 1,872, you're looking at like a 2-week supply. So what happened was most families make the move to Vegas in the beginning of summer, right? That's always when families make their move.
Sure.
Well, what happened was when we got to March, all of a sudden the people that were following the market because they were just dipping their toes in, hoping to buy something in May, June, then make that summer move. They started noticing that, holy crap, every house that we see is gone in one day.
Right.
And the next house is $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 more. So what happened was we ended up with a tremendous amount of emotion. I'm a big believer in emotion driving markets, right? When people are fearful that the market is going to go up, people tend to make sometimes irrational decisions, but they make emotional decisions because they're scared of getting priced out.
Yep.
So what happened was when March hit and we had no inventory, all of a sudden the people that were planning on buying in June were saying to me, hey, you know what? I'm kind of afraid that if we wait until June, that there's going to be nothing to buy. Like,
so the Vegas home became
more.
toilet paper. Everybody jumped in because they were afraid.
Everyone jumped in March. And so when you started looking at the April numbers, the peak of our market was actually April of last year. By the time mid-April came around, every house had 10 offers. Everyone was waiving appraisal. Everyone was paying over. That was the fever pitch. I was selling properties that I never in a million years, and I've seen some crazy stuff. I never thought I would ever pull off and without a hitch. So looking back, the peak of our market as far as demand was April, which is really, really premature for us. But as a result, it continued and then it started tapering off as we got towards, July and August. Still strong, but by August, everyone had already made their moves. Now, what happened is the inventory started increasing a little bit as we got past that mid-March area, and people started making their moves out of Vegas, which put some inventory onto the market. So ultimately, looking at last year, we peaked really, really early due to that emotion, and things kind of tapered off, but the inventory started diminishing again towards the end of the year. So what ended up happening is, even though people weren't quite as desperate as they were in the beginning of the year, the constraint on inventory means that, I got a client that I put in an escrow yesterday actually, and I've been working with them for almost a year.
Wow.
Because either we couldn't find anything for months, or we put in like a couple offers, unique properties, and it just got bid up so high that my clients were like, no, it's not that great. So there's a lot of buyers out there that simply haven't been able to find a property or negotiate into a property. So it's been a strange year in that sense. Now ending this year, do you want to make this transition into 2022?
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll set up 2022 in the next one. But if you were to wrap up 2021, kind of good for sellers, bad for buyers, kind of.
Yeah, it was definitely a challenging year for buyers, and it was really, really about timing. If you were a buyer in the beginning of the summer, beggars can't be choosers. You were just grateful to get anything. End of summer, fall, winter, better. But I will say this December, this was the busiest December that I've ever had in 20 years. And I've done a lot of volume.
Wow.
This was the busiest December. Normally I tell some of my investors, my astute clients, like, hey, calm down. Let's wait and attack in November and December when everyone starts hibernating. And this year, there was no price retractions. There was no desperation. Properties that normally would have lingered and I could have picked up some deals, there was literally no deals whatsoever in the dead of winter. One of the first times I've ever seen that happen. Not setting the world on fire, but certainly
a different,
sense of urgency amongst the sellers.
Very cool. Well, Brian, thank you very much. One more time, what's the phone number if they want to buy something?
You can reach me directly at 702-257-LEBO, L-E-B-O, 257-LEBO, or email me, Brian, B-R-Y-A-N, at Lebo Group, L-E-B as in boy, O, group.com.
There you go, bud. Thanks again.
My pleasure.